Never duplicated Tony TGD coming at you with a video that's going to answer the burning question: is Miles Morales Spider-Man? Well, you see, some people would say no, some people would say yes, and the people that say no, they're being called names. They're being called racist, bigot, terrible human being. Other colorful variations thereof. And this all started with a tweet from Nerdrotic. Now, I don't follow Nerdrotic. I have very little information about Nerdrotic. I don't know who he is, what he does, what he says, where he goes, who he hangs with. All I do know is he made this tweet. Said Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Miles Morales is Miles Morales. Now, he's not incorrect with his assessment here. He does seem to have a grasp on, who people are. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That's a true statement. Miles Morales is Miles Morales. That is also a true statement. I don't know why people have, got a bug up their ass for him saying this, but they did. They said, well, he's disrespecting Miles Morales being Spider-Man. He's disrespecting the whole idea of another character taking over Spider-Man. He doesn't like him because he's not white, as it were. But nothing in this tweet, my good friends, is bigoted, racist. There's nothing here in and of itself. Like I said, I do not know the gentleman. I do not know his content, what he says, who he hangs out with, and all that good stuff. I just know that this tweet here is very, very not offensive. But it was so not offensive that my friend here, Mad Max, and his boy RJ, Resident Justice, they did a little video on it. Nerdrotic geeks and gamers are exposed as bigots. Miles Morales is Spider-Man, all caps. He's angry. Now, I'm not going to play the video. I did watch it, but I'm not going to play it because I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to waste your 20 minutes the way I wasted my own. But basically, their argument is that, geeks and gamers, Nerdrotic, they're not exactly racist, but they're bigoted. They have a hateful intolerance for people who have opinions different from their own. Now, that's a very ironic statement since obviously this video is a bigoted video towards Nerdrotic's opinion that Miles Morales is not Spider-Man. Obviously, Max and RJ here, they don't have the tolerance for Nerdrotic's opinion. They do not value his opinion on the subject, and in fact, they are making a whole video on it because they are intolerant of his opinion. So it is kind of ironic that the whole video is how Nerdrotic is bigoted because he does not accept Miles Morales as Spider-Man, but they are being bigoted towards his opinion. It's a big mishmash of weirdness. But see, the worst part of all of this, and the reason that I'm making the video is because Mad Max, RJ, they need to turn in their nerd card. They need to hand in their geek cred, as it were, because they made a whole 20-minute video, a 20-minute video here, folks, and not once did they mention the fact that Miles Morales has used alternate identities. That's right. You see, in the comics, when he went to Weird World in Champions number 25, he was called Shadow Spider. Now, recently, Spider-Man has a Disney Plus Disney Junior series. It's called Spidey and His Amazing Friends. Now we're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at some of the toys from that. See, this is a Lego Duplo Spider-Man headquarters, Marvel's Spidey and His Amazing Friends. Now, as you can see, it comes with 3 characters. It comes with your Spider-Man, your Miles Morales Spider-Man, and of course Gwen Stacy from another universe, whatever. You know what I'm saying. So we're gonna scroll down here, folks. We're gonna keep scrolling down to the description here, and as you can see, it says in the product details. I'll highlight it just so we can all read along. It says, "Bring the excitement of the new Disney Junior animated series Marvel's Spidey and His Amazing Friends to life with the Lego Duplo playset. The series stars Spidey, Peter Parker, Spin, Miles Morales, and Ghost Spider, Gwen Stacy, are included in this set featuring the spider-shaped headquarters." Interesting. Now, as you can see, Miles Morales in this Disney Junior series is being referred to as Spin. This is his name for the series. You're probably wondering why. Why do they call him Spin? Well, in the first episode of this Disney Junior series, which I had the displeasure of having to watch to make this video, both Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and Spider-Man, Miles Morales, go to register their identities. But the computer says you can't have two Spider-Man. You can only have one Spider-Man. So Peter Parker and Miles Morales decide that neither one of them should be referred to as Spider-Man. In fact, they should just have nicknames. Spider-Man being called Spidey, and Miles Morales choosing Spin. So through the remainder of the series, which again, I had the displeasure of having to watch some episodes to verify this information, Miles Morales is called Spin. And Gwen Stacy is called Ghost Spider, which was another identity that she used in lieu of Spider-Gwen. But that's that. Now, there was another cartoon series. It's called Ultimate Spider-Man. And that also had Miles Morales in it. We're going to take a look. Now, this here is a Spider-Man toy. However, it is a regular Spider-Man toy. It's not an Ultimate Spider-Man toy. So bear with me. But as you can see, this is a Miles Morales figure. Now, if we scroll down, bam, it's called Kid Arachnid. Kid Arachnid. And again, this comes from the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, where Miles Morales joins Spider-Man, and he comes from his universe, comes to the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon universe, joins the Web Warriors, and in order to avoid confusion, he adopts the name Kid Arachnid. Marvel's their toy line, Hasbro, they decided that a lot of the toys during that time period, in order to keep sort of a continuity between the cartoon and the toys that were coming out, whether they were Ultimate Spider-Man toys or just regular Spider-Man toys, would adopt the Kid Arachnid name for Miles Morales. So we have two instances of Miles Morales not being Spider-Man, but rather being someone else, being a alternate name. Of course, you're thinking to yourself, you're saying, well, that's toys. That's kids' cartoons. It's not important. That's not the big gun. The big gun would be the comic books, right? Well, again, not mentioned by neither Mad Max or Resident Justice is the fact that in the current Spider-Man continuity, the current Spider-Man cartoon, comic, rather, sorry, getting a little ahead of myself. The current Spider-Man comic book, Ben Reilly had returned from the dead. He joined the Beyond Corporation, which is one of those evil science-y organizations in the comics, much like AIM. And in doing so, he adopted a new Spider-Man costume. And he chose to go around as Spider-Man. Now, the Beyond Corporation also decided to actually trademark the name Spider-Man. And they have since given a cease and desist letter to both Miles Morales and Peter Parker. So as far as the comics are concerned, currently, right now, the only character who is Spider-Man is Ben Reilly. So you have three instances. 1, 2, 3. Of Ben Reilly being Spider-Man. You have three instances of Miles Morales not being Spider-Man. And you have at least one instance of Peter Parker not even being Spider-Man. So it's very funny that these two gentlemen would come out here, say this stuff, get all mad and angry, and not even present all of the facts. Neither Mad Max, Resident Justice, or of course Nerdrotic, who kicked everything off. He probably doesn't even realize the things that I've said. But yeah, now, if you know anything about the Spider-Man situation, there is a lawsuit pending over the name Spider-Man. The family of the original artist, they're suing. They're saying, hey, that's my father's creation. He deserves the Spider-Man name. So it's very possible that Disney, in an effort to hold on to the trademark, or in an effort to circumvent any unfortunate outcome in such a lawsuit, is going to give new names to Spider-Man, to Peter Parker, and to Spider-Man Miles Morales. So in the coming months, we might get new names for them. And frankly, in my opinion, Miles Morales deserves a new name. Now, Ben Reilly originally he was Spider-Man. He is a clone of Peter Parker. He he was in the comics as Spider-Man. He took over the mantle. Peter went away. Ben Reilly took over. He was Spider-Man. Eventually, Peter comes back, takes back the mantle of Spider-Man, and Ben Reilly adopts the name Scarlet Spider, a mantle which is then passed on to Kane. But as you can see, even a clone of Spider-Man got a new name, a new identity, something that was uniquely his. Miles Morales, on the other hand, has not in the comics anyway. So we need Miles Morales to have an identity of his own. When you think of that name, when you think of Kid Arachnid, you're going to think Miles Morales. When you think Spider-Man, you're going to think Peter Parker. And you're going to need a way to differentiate the two. You can't just have them both being Spider-Man. And no, it's not racist if you say, hey, Peter Parker is Spider-Man, because he was the original. He's the one who, for most of the Spider-Man run, was running around in the costume. We do have a Spider-Man in the future, Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099. He's going to show up in the new Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 movie. So he's also technically Spider-Man. So you got three different versions of Spider-Man who are in the same movie, same continuity. Sometimes Marvel, they get confusing with, alternate realities, alternate futures, different versions. Who actually is the correct future version of the 616 universe? But to answer the question, is Miles Morales Spider-Man? Well, I guess it all depends what you're watching. If you're watching Disney Junior, no, he's Spin. If you're watching the old Ultimate Spider-Man cartoons, no, he's Kid Arachnid. If you're playing the video game Miles Morales Spider-Man, then yeah, he's Spider-Man. But that's all I gotta say about this.